Okay, hi, this is Reverend Paul Slackus, all faiths and spiritual, practicing Jew by birth and during my entire life. Family worked very closely to help build Israel, and we'll discuss a little bit of that. I'll share it because Jonathan Feldstein, do I say that right? Feldstein, is that right?
Feldstein, yes.
Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan, for allowing us to grab a few moments of your busy time during a concerning time for the Jewish community.
Yes.
Jonathan is a renowned, is an author, he's one smart guy. And the legacy of Henry Kissinger, we're going to discuss how it relates to today's politics. And he's the author and founder of Genesis 123 Foundation. Um, so, uh, Unfortunately, we're in a very, very concerning time for the Jewish community. Like we have 12 Jews left in this world, and they seem to somehow be 12 that people have concerns about. I have no idea why. What do they want from the poor little Jewish community? We just want a nice pastrami sandwich. We want some Dr. Brown soda. We just
Uh,
want to live life in peace. We're at shalom. All right, you tell me what's going on and why does it go on?
it's the oldest hate. It's biblical and it goes on. And I can only sum it up as jealousy, which shouldn't be, because albeit that God has a unique, unbreakable covenant with us going back to Abraham, it doesn't preclude other people having a relationship with God. Or if it's not jealousy, then it's just evil. And there is evil in the world. And that goes back to the conversation: who created evil if God created the world? I don't know about that, but I know that this is the oldest hate. It's something that I felt during my life. We of course experience it here in Israel, and we live and try to celebrate the good things, and overlook and get by with the things that are challenging.
All right. We need Henry Kissinger now?
Do we need him?
Yes.
Look, Henry Kissinger was brilliant. He was a great statesman. I have no doubt a lot of his vision, a lot of his worldview was effective in the early 1970s, early to mid 70s, in many things that were very positive for U.S. policy. My big bone with Henry Kissinger, first of all, is that he didn't consider himself first a Jew. And I don't say that in a judgmental way. Whether someone is a religious Jew or secular Jew, believes in God, doesn't believe in God, or only wants a pastrami sandwich and a Dr. Brown soda, whatever it may be, there are things that govern our lives as Jews and should be and should have been in his life. And the second thing was Kissinger pressured Israel significantly in the context of the Cold War. I get it, to not end a military victory in the 1973 Yom Kippur War with a resounding victory, with the encircling of Damascus and Cairo, and making them squeeze them then when we were only dealing with Arab nationalism. Before this Islamic terror, before the Shah of Iran was overthrown and the Islamists came in and took over, and how everything that has trickled down to. So I think Henry Kissinger's life, his legacy in 100 as it relates to Israel and the Middle East, at best is mixed. Would I want him here now? Huh. I'm mixed on that too, because I don't know if he'd be better or worse than what we have.
Let me mention another person because I thought about it today and I thought maybe this would be helpful. Do you want Jesus back?
Well, if Jesus were back and Jesus had been at the music festival on October 7th, Jesus would have either been slaughtered with the other 300 other people, or Jesus would have been taken captive and currently, as an adult male, being held in a Gaza tunnel somewhere, or as human shield. Um, uh, I'm an Orthodox Jew. My perspective on Jesus is different from that of Christians. He was a wise moral teacher. We could, whether he were to come back or not, I think the important thing about Jesus is people follow his teachings today, and we could use more of Jesus. And I say that, and I say that in a very edgy way as an Orthodox Jew. I think much of the world that is not yet Christian, particularly those who are pagans, and particularly our Islamic neighbors, can use a lot more Jesus.
Okay. It struck me that if Jesus was here, maybe Jesus could ask the Christian faith to assist the Jewish faith.
Well,
And
he does that. He does that in Romans. I'm not an expert on the New Testament, but there's no question in terms of Jesus as his identity as a Jew and his peoplehood. And when he says, that which you do to the least of these my brothers, you do to me. He doesn't need to be physically present here to try to sway people. The question is, people who claim to be Christians need to be swayed to what Jesus actually said and believed.
1, 2, 3 Foundation, Genesis, what is it?
Genesis 123 Foundation is a nonprofit, US based nonprofit. Our website is genesis123.co. And our mission is to build bridges between Jews and Christians with Israel in ways that are new, unique, and meaningful. And that's why I, as an Orthodox Jew, can say to my friends, Jewish and Christian, we need more Jesus without Jews having to feel threatened that anyone's trying to convert us. We established a fabulous program called Run for Zion, which is the first Christian program around the Jerusalem Marathon. I'm the only Orthodox Jewish host of a weekly podcast called Inspiration from Zion on the Charisma Podcast Network with 300 some other podcast hosts and me, Jonathan, the Orthodox Jew. We have a fabulous book that I'd love to share with you and everybody following, called Israel the Miracle, which is brand new. It just arrived in America about a week ago, printed here. It's a compilation of 75 essays by 75 Christian leaders from all over the world about why Israel is significant today. And sadly, it was printed before the war began, but sadly, it's all the more relevant to us today. And people can check that out at israelthemiracle.com. And I would say last, and there are many other things, but since the war began, we've launched a really, really pivotal Israel emergency campaign that strives to merge impact with integrity. We have established a campaign to sell rubber bracelets that say bring them home now. And we have a very important petition that I would urge everybody to sign, which is about bringing the hostages home. We need to give Israel the backing from all over the world to resist the pressure that exists and will continue to mount to have more ceasefires until the job is done. All of that can be viewed and participated in at genesis123.co.
Okay. Yeah, you have a couple more minutes. You're on to your next interview.
Yeah,
Okay.
you lead, I'll follow.
All righty. Okay. So talking about Mount. So you can see on my upper corner here, we've been doing the International Day of Peace concerts since 2002. I'm a peace guy. I'm a John Lennonist. I'm a, I'm a, I'm a, I did Woodstock, the 20th anniversary. So I'm all into using media, good news broadcast, former CBS, PBS guy. So I know the game, the show business world, 50 years, thousands and thousands of shows I've made. I've made even partnerships with the Israeli television and a
Great.
multicultural advertising marketing company. So I've helped all the different ethnic communities, and then I became a minister, interfaith minister through Rabbi Gelman's program, along with the imam and a Christian priest, and actually to hopefully help the Jews as well as everybody else, because someone can say to me, I'm not only Jewish, I'm like you. You're open to all religions, the beauty of all the religions, the love of all the religions, and of which they all have. It's just in Yiddish, we call them the meshuganas, or mentally ill ones, that use religion, as some people use countries, as a scapegoat, my country against your country, my religion against your religion. The point that I'm trying to say here is How are we going to resolve this? Let's get right into this nitty gritty here in Palestine. What's the problem? They want a state. The Jews don't. How can the Jews keep them from having a state? I don't know the nitty gritty. Okay, I don't even hardly follow politics. How
Sure.
can we solve the situation there? It's going to be very difficult to wipe out everybody that doesn't like Jews or everybody that doesn't
Um,
like Muslims. These kind of Muslims. What do you do? What's your
well,
thought?
for it's a good and very deep question. First of all, I don't use the term Palestine. There isn't a state called Palestine. There never was a state called Palestine. And the people, even though there are millions of people who identify as Palestinian Arabs, it's a made up ethnicity. And I don't say that with any disrespect. They exist, and we need to coexist. And I'm all for that. But the notion of, especially now, if back in 1973, we go back to Kissinger, we had a defeat of the Syrian and the Egyptian armies, and there was an actual realization of peace, there could have been the Palestinian Arabs have been offered peace beginning last week for the last 76 years and going back repeatedly. And both the Palestinian Arab leaders and the other Arab leaders in the world have rejected that. I don't believe that a two-state solution is today a solution that is viable when the vast majority of Palestinian Arabs identify with and support Hamas and say that the massacre that took place on October 7th in some way strengthens their national identity. If that's the case, then that's a shame and they don't deserve a state, to be quite honest. Having said that, what's the solution? You can't see out the window behind me, but I live in what they call pejoratively the West Bank. There's an Arab village on the other side of my apartment building that's closer to my home than any of the communities that were overrun by terrorists on October 7th. I believed, past tense, before October 7th, that we really could have peaceful coexistence. And that does exist still. There's economic opportunity. We, Israel, serve as a huge economic buffer for the Palestinian Arabs, providing, I think, employment for about 1/3 of Palestinian Arab men, and that's important because their society hasn't built up their own infrastructure. I'm for that. I believe that in the rebuilding of Gaza, it could and should be built up as a Singapore. Let them thrive, let them prosper peacefully, and let them be part of uprooting the evil Islamists that are in their midst, that they're unfortunately supporting. Paul, I just don't know if that's realistic today or in our lifetimes. And I don't say that just as a cynical Orthodox Jew. I have Arab friends here, Christian Israeli Arabs, who also don't see any hope for peace in our lifetimes. So if there's no hope for peace, then I'm sorry to say it. We pray that God will change their hearts. And if God doesn't change their hearts, then we have to defeat the evil.
Gewalt.
Oige Volt.
Uh, I wanted to put, and I still have the proposal to put it at the Temple Mount, no less. 999-foot peace pole, and a third to the Christians, third to the Muslims, no, a quarter to the Jews, and the last quarter for all the other religions of the world. A big peace pole that lit up that everybody could see throughout the whole Middle East. In any case,
I like that.
uh, and I talked to the people that light up the World Trade Center. We can pull it off. It's a whole business thing, and Temple Mount has its. They said, "When are you going to the Temple Mount?" Even my rabbi here, Jill, says to me, "No, don't go there. That's a headache over there." I said, "That's then where I want to put it. That's because that's what I think. Wherever we've had the headaches is what we need to repair. We need to come together on." I don't know. As a peace person, I don't. I there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way.
Look, it does, but you know what? I don't reject what you're saying, but I'm much more jaded since October 7th. We I wish you could come here. I wish everyone following now could come here and look at the empty parking lot that I can see with no magnification from my apartment on the seventh floor of this building. And it's a dirt lot that used to have dozens, dozens of Arab cars parked there. And I used to joke that there were more Palestinian Arab men that worked in my town than there were Jewish men who work in my town, because we go out to our jobs and they come into their jobs. And since October 7th, there hasn't been I look every day. There hasn't been a single car, because they're not welcome. And I don't say that with any happiness. There was an opportunity to coexist, but now we're afraid. All it takes is for 1,000 of them to. There's not even a fence between us to come across and storm us. They'll be in my apartment building in 4 minutes, and the slaughter that could take place, and on the school behind me. So I don't know what's the opportunity for peace, but I will say this, and I have to counter it biblically, and it's something that in some strange way gives me comfort. I'm living in Israel not quite 20 years. God said he was going to bring us back. He said he was going to disperse us. He's done that a couple of times, and he's brought us back, and we're thriving and we're prospering, and living here is a privilege and a blessing, even with what's going on. But I have yet to find the scripture where God says when he's going to bring us back, it's going to be like a walk in the park, and it's going to be easy, and it's going to be peaceful. We know what we're waiting for that ultimate peace. But until that point, maybe we just have to be resolved to the fact that the same way we read the narratives of the Amalekites and the Moabites and the Jebusites and all the ites who have attacked us and tried to slaughter us, and Hanukkah is coming. We don't have an ite at the end of it. The Greek Assyrians, but they were no better, and that was 2,500 years ago. That's a holiday Jesus celebrated. I don't have an answer except for the fact that we have biblical precedent for war and resolving the wars militarily. I'm not happy about it.
I don't know why you would be. I sure the heck wouldn't be. I'm concerned if the people are shooting around the corner in Manhattan. So it's scary. And
It is.
and New York happens to be a Jewish city to a big degree, and most of the largest population outside of Israel. It's but it's this religious thing. Geez, it's I'm a humanist. I'm a Homo sapien. I'm working it. Brothers and sisters. That's it. That's them. There is the facts. I don't know how to get to it.
So let me ask you a question as the Homo sapien brothers and sisters. This is my fourth interview of the day, and I still have one more. I refer to the terrorists as people who are biologically human, but I mean, this is you don't see massacres that took place like this that took place. You see them sometimes in other parts of the world, but it's inhuman. How do you justify that?
I can't justify it. I cannot justify some of the things that I've either seen or heard there. There is no justification. The only justification that I can say, Jonathan, and I appreciate your being such a open-minded man and to hear all sides of life. The only thing that I can say is that I used to believe in capital punishment, and that you hurt somebody, I want you dead. But I be open. My eyes got opened by my friend who was the public defender of the New Haven, who got people out of jail, you could say, because of what his job was as a public defender, where he said, capital punishment, now you're the murderer. You're the murderer of the murderer. And so now I've changed my approach. As difficult as you might say, it's nice to, he's gone. On the other hand, can we hug him? Can we hold him? Can we deal with this? I did the brain series on PBS. Can we take this mentally ill person who thinks by killing somebody or torturing somebody, is there a way to help them? Like in the Native American Indians, they would hug a you're obviously mentally disturbed to kill somebody, in my mind, unequivocally. So I don't know. I think that somehow we got to, we need not the Shea. We need a hero. We don't need another hero, Tina said, but we need a hero. We need somebody that lifts the Muslims, lifts the Jews, lifts the Christian, the religious hero that says we're all brothers and sisters. We're looking for him or her.
Well, yes, I don't disagree with your last statement. I pray for that. I do. But I do believe until that point, and especially given the nature of the enemy that we have, they know force. They only know force. And I'll share something very personal with you. I wrote an article a few weeks ago. I've been doing a lot of writing and a lot of interviews like this since October 8th. I wrote an article maybe a week ago called "I'm Still Losing Sleep." It's on townhall.com and I don't even townhall.com for sure. I'm still losing sleep. And in it, I wrote my sadness that my son would be going, my 25-year-old son, who's a combat soldier, would be going into Gaza. And I disagreed. You remember the statement that Golda Meir said, we can forgive the Arabs for killing our children. We can't forgive the Arabs for making our children into killers. And that goes into your comment about capital punishment. And I wrote that, and I feel that. I feel, and my son today, Paul, went into Gaza. He's now charged with holding a very serious weapon and will be taking down any terrorist that comes in his way. And I feel for that. However, I will tell you, since I even wrote that article and since he's gone into Gaza today, I will tell you without hesitation, if I had the ability, I would go into Gaza with him, both to protect my son and to take out as many terrorists as possible, because I believe that that has to be part of the solution. Can we have peace? Maybe. I'm turning 59 this month. I don't know if I'll see that in my lifetime. I have a 1-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old grandsons. I don't know if we'll see it in their lifetime.
Well, I'm a grandpa too, and part of the reason I'm doing what I do, good news, positive, show the good in the world, and do these peace days events are for my grandkids, hands down, no doubt. I just told the ambassador of China, okay, we better hug each other, us in China and America, or someone's going to put
Yeah.
a bomb on our head. And at least are these two big countries that have some relevance to everywhere else in the world. So, and it's because I ain't let my kids go into war. And so my heart for you and with your son and what you're telling me, and you living so close, Jonathan, I love you. It's we need a hero. We need something that can wake the people up and somehow stop these things. I
So
don't know.
you know who I would bring back? I would bring back Billy Graham and let him do a month's worth of crusades
It's
throughout the Arab Islamic Middle East.
interesting.
Someone
Uh,
becomes a real Christian, they can't they'll stop their hatred of the Jewish people and they'll stop trying to kill us. And that's a far step from Jesus coming back, and that's not part of my theology, but I do believe it's not up. We don't need to change the Jewish people. We need to protect the Jewish people. The Jewish people need to continue to be the light unto the nations and a blessing to the families of the world. Having said that, I put it on the shoulders of Christians to to bring God to the rest of the world.
that was my Jesus statement, actually. That is my
Okay.
mindset for the Jesus state. I'm trying to get Oprah Winfrey to interview Salam bin Salam, the Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay, I've been asked to make that happen. I haven't been able to get to Oprah. So
I'll interview him. I was going to go there at the end of this month for my birthday. I
yeah,
thought that would
well,
be a cool
hey,
thing
he wants
to go to
Oprah.
Saudi Arabia.
Oprah would be, Oprah's and so here's Oprah. So Oprah the one woman that can help appease these things? How about Joel Ornstein? He's a very big popular guy here in America. I don't know if you know him.
I know
Uh,
Joel. I know Joel. I would rather see Joel Rosenberg. I would rather see Franklin Graham. I would rather see. Um, um, I mean, the list can go on and on and on of anyone who's an author in my book, Israel the Miracle. Anyone. has solid footing on a theological basis to go in and have that conversation and tell people why. And I would put my dear friend Marzieh Amirizadeh, who is an Iranian woman. She was born in Iran just after the revolution there, became a Christian about 20 years ago, and was sentenced to death because she became a Christian. I would put her in the heart of Gaza and Ramallah and Hebron to talk to Muslims and say, no, your theology is wrong. And this is why you need Jesus.
Well, I'm gonna, and not that I'm by far too smart on these things, but I don't think the theology of a true Muslim is wrong, because the Muslim, first of all, in the Quran, I think have like the Jesus in there is 50 times, 43 times, or whatever. The religions, or at least this is what I was taught. Once again, I'm no expert by any means. The religions all preach love. They don't
Uh,
preach anger. It's an interpretation that some people say 72 virgins, or that whatever these things are. It's only an interpretation. Am I wrong?
you are wrong. Islam, I'm not an expert on world religions, and I can't speak to the ones that are polytheistic and actually literally worship idols. Islam does not do that, but Islam does not worship the creator. Islam worships a God, and they call him Allah. But Islam is the only religion, and tell me if I'm wrong, that has a notion of jihad, a holy war in order to achieve goals, and holding everyone else in second class status. I don't hold a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Baha'i or a Muslim or a Christian or a Taoist or an atheist in any second class status. I believe what I believe, and Islam has very clear um, parameters as to you're either in. I used to know the Arabic phrase, you're part of the house of Islam, or you're part of the opposition. I don't recall the exact translation. So look, do we have Jewish extremists who interpret biblical tradition in evil ways? Yeah. Has that existed in Christianity? Yeah, even as late recently as the Holocaust, where the church did nothing and actually was part of persecuting Jews. Of course. But if you look at world religions today, I'm sorry to say it, and I don't mean this insincerely. Um, who was it? Bill Clinton who said it's the economy, stupid? Frankly, it's Islam. It's Islam, comma, stupid. And it's not my job to change Islam. It's the job of Muslims to change Islam. And I don't hate Muslims. But Islam can be a religion of peace, but it is not the religion of peace. But it is not the religion of peace because its adherents use, I don't know if it's a majority, but a vast number of their adherents practice hateful, evil things in the name of their God.
Okay. Well, uh, thank you, Jonathan. I look forward to having this conversation with you. Um,
Anytime.
I'm
Anytime.
very appreciative of your openness and your wisdom. Um, Give me the websites again and where the book
Yeah.
is, things like that, please.
For everything, signing our petition, buying bracelets to free the hostages, just getting involved with our Israel Emergency Campaign. And what we do is Genesis123.co. And specifically for our book, which is stunning, absolutely stunning, it's called Israel the Miracle, and the website is israelthemiracle.com. It is arriving in Tulsa, our distribution center this week. And people who order it this week, next week, can still have it in time for Christmas.
There you go, and or Hanukkah. Let me ask you this. Where are you from originally?
Grew up in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay. All right. Did you ride a horse?
I've attempted.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. God bless you.
Take care. God bless you.